Last time on the Pokémon 30th Anniversary hype train, we discussed the potential of Gen 10 showing up during the next Pokémon Presents on February 27th, which hasn't officially been confirmed yet, but seeing as it is the 30th anniversary of the series, it's all but guaranteed we'll be seeing some kind of crazy announcement, with the most likely candidate no doubt being Generation 10. And I've done a pretty deep dive into what we know about Gen 10 so far, with most of that information coming from the Game Freak Teraleak that happened. But from that same Teraleak, we have a bunch of information about other upcoming Pokemon projects. And today we're going to be focusing on one of those, the next Pokémon Legends game. Now, this is something that's likely not going to be announced or come out for another couple of years, but I thought it'd be interesting to dive into these leaks because I've been seeing quite a lot of people wondering if there might still be a little more left for Pokémon Legends ZA. Could there be another DLC? I'm definitely leaning towards no, but there is likely something coming for Legends ZA. Well, really just one main thing, being Mega Garchomp Z. In case you don't know, the final Z Mega Evolution is in the game's files currently, but there's no way to obtain it. And though you might assume that you get it through the ranked ZA Battle Club, it hasn't been confirmed yet, and with the Hoenn Starters Mega Evolutions being the rewards for the next couple of seasons, but actually looking at the last couple of seasons, they've lasted exactly 3 weeks. You can see Season 3, November 27th, which was a Thursday, and the next season started on the 18th, exactly 3 weeks later. With the latest season also lasting exactly 3 weeks. It'll be over on January 29th. So going from there, Season 6 would end on February 19th, and Pokemon Day is literally a week after that. So it doesn't exactly line up, but I guess it could at least be announced on Pokemon Day. But let's be honest, that would be kinda lame, at least for Mega Garchomp Z. Being a Z Mega Evolution, you would hope they do something more unique for it, like with Absol Z and Mega Lucario Z. But would they really make a whole DLC just for that one Mega? So what if Pokémon Legends ZA gets a similar treatment to Scarlet and Violet, and we instead get an epilogue? Basically one final mission to introduce Garchomp Z and maybe give us a little glimpse at the next Pokémon Legends game. I say that last part because unlike with Scarlet and Violet's Mochi Mayhem, which if you forgot, that's what that game's final update was called, and you could only unlock it after beating the Indigo Disc and Teal Mask. Technically, it was free as long as you had the DLC, so you could say it wasn't free because you had to pay for that, but similarly with Legends ZA, if you have Mega Dimension, the DLC already bought, I can see them doing a free update for it where Mega Garchomp gets introduced and there's a little mission. But what could this mission actually be? I know I'm not the only one that would love to see the return of Cynthia. I feel like there's no better character to fight for the right to earn Garchomp's new Mega Evolution. But it could also be one of her ancestors. After all, we've seen Volo's outfit in the Lumiose Museum, and he may even be alive somewhere in the present day. There's also a chance we finally get to see Professor Sycamore in ZA, with a picture of him and a Garchomp being framed up in the lab. So maybe he's the one we have to fight for Garchomp's Z Megastone. But regardless, I would love to see some kind of mission for Garchomp Z rather than it just being thrown into the ranked battles. It could even be a smaller EX mission like we had for Mega Mewtwo, Mega Diancie. In fact, I just remembered Mega Zeraora is technically an EX mission, so I could totally see Garchomp Z being a free update, but it's basically just one mission where you fight Garchomp Z as a rogue Mega. Because Garchomp Z just looks way too badass to be just a random Megastone given away through ranked. At least, I hope they do something cooler with it. As always, let me know what you guys think. How will Mega Garchomp Z end up getting released? But now let's get into the second part of this video, arguably the more interesting half, as we dive back into the Teraleak. Again, shout out to Pokios.com because they've done a really good job of compiling all of the leaks, screenshots, and information. Again, if you guys missed it, I already covered all of the Gen 10 leaks, but during that I noticed there was actually leaks for the potential third Pokemon Legends game. And I have not seen any of these yet, so I'm pretty excited. So with that in mind, let's take a look first at the apparently scrapped Pokémon Legends 2, Ho-Oh and Lugia, and then we'll get into Project Ringo, which is definitely the more interesting one here. Legends Galar? So apparently the second Legends game was not going to be ZA at all. It was going to be based on Ho-Oh and Lugia, so basically Legends in Johto. This was going to be a direct successor to Legends Arceus, so likely set in the past of Johto, covering the legends of Ho-Oh and Lugia, like what actually happened back in the day. I'm already thinking about how sick that would be, seeing Raikou, Entei, and Suicune being created, Ho-Oh and Lugia themselves potentially having primal forms like we got for Dialga and Palkia. Man, I'm honestly still a little disappointed that Legends EA didn't take place in the past. Like, I love Legends EA, it's a really cool game, but the potential what could have been the War of Kalos as a game, I'll forever be left with that curiosity of what could have been. The game was envisioned as a historical Legends title focused on the origins of Pokemon trainers, set in an era before the concept of trainers even existed. This was planned for release in 2024? What? Actually, that makes sense, because this is like if ZA didn't happen, this would have happened instead. And Legends ZA was originally going to release in 2024. Internally, the project was referred to as Legends Ho-Oh and Lugia, so they were actually going to do a dual version for Pokemon Legends. By releasing two versions, sales would be increased. I mean, yeah, if you make two of almost the same game, a lot of Pokemon fans buy them both, even if they are really similar. The game aimed to solidify Legends as a long-term sub-franchise, which I guess Legends EA still did that, but honestly, other than having Legends in their titles, I sometimes fail to see what the connective tissue is between Legends Arceus and now Legends EA. So this would have definitely been more in line with what fans expected Legends to be, like games set in the past. I just remembered Legends Arceus was all about the first Pokédex, so this game would have been about the first trainers. Despite advanced planning, the Johto-based Legends project was ultimately cancelled or heavily reworked. Its concept, scope, and role were folded into a new direction. The final line says this marked a strategic pivot for the Legends series. I just mentioned how at first it seemed all of them were going to be set in the past, but now it's a little more complicated. I guess you could say Pokemon Legends is defined by experimentation, basically going away from the typical Pokemon formula, in the case of Legends EA with the real-time battles. So with that in mind, it's hard to predict what the next Pokemon Legends game could be, but the Teraleak gives us a glimpse at least one possibility. We're gonna get into Project Ringo now, aka Pokemon Legends 3 Galar. And there's actually a lot of screenshots for this one, which kind of give me a vibe that it might still happen. You know, after Gen 10, this might be the next game. So just to set the mood, we've got this Gigantamax Colossal, and it's basically like a big raid boss battle, kind of like Dynamax Adventures, except I think it might be real time. Like you can see the character here. This is giving like Kingdom Hearts 3 when you fight the Titans, and maybe it's because Colossal literally looks like the volcano or fire titan from Hercules, but the size of this thing, man, that would be so cool if you could take this on online with friends, like a real-time action raid battle. So Project Ringo, which Ringo means apple in Japanese, so I guess Project Apple, is an experimental title developed by Game Freak's Prototype Development Division, currently being prototyped as a candidate for the next Legends game. So at least when the Teraleak came out, this game is still a candidate. So it might happen. It has potential to be the next Legends game. But anyway, this game is set roughly 1,000 years in the past. So even way further back than Legends Arceus or the potential Legends Johto game. In an era where Pokeballs do not yet exist and the concept of Pokemon trainers had not been formalized. Internally is described as a project focused on Pokemon AI and physics-based simulation, designed to explore new ways of playing with Pokemon beyond traditional battle systems. That sounds pretty cool. I mean, we already have real-time battles. You could say that's kind of different. And this time we have like, I guess, raid battles. I kind of see like a cluster of Pokemon here now. Like that looks like a Staravia. A major gameplay pillar involves group-based interaction where Pokemon move, react, and fight together using advanced AI behaviors. For a second, I thought this was actually a video. I mean, someone out there probably has the actual video that this screenshot is linked to. But as you can see here, rather than being a Pokemon trainer, you just have a horde of Pokemon with you, the gang rolling up. It looks like this might still be Colossal considering the rock and fire type. Or maybe this is like a boulder that it launched at you. But you can see here, press and hold, attention, let's go. So probably like have them gather around you. And then you have an actual move. So I think you only get to attack with one Pokemon at a time. Actually, this might be a support move, 'cause it's Wall of Light, so like a reflect or light screen. And you can see that you can switch between Pokemon. It only shows one move, so maybe each Pokemon has a specific attack. It's a lot clearer in the previous screenshot, but what I'm not clear on is what the numbers under each Pokemon mean. You can see above 19 out of 30, so maybe you can have 30 Pokemon total in your group, and the numbers under each could be how many of that species you have, because there's a lot of birds in this specific cluster. But again, you can see that only Machamp, which I guess is like your main Pokemon, has the commands to attack. And of course, this is all very early in development. In fact, it might not even make it to the final game, but big group-based raids against Gigantamax Pokemon, it definitely fits for a Legends Galar. So there's a big emphasis on AI, and it's not exactly what you might think. Basically, they're saying Pokemon act on their own. So the Pokemon's AI being improved with group and swarm dynamics, physics-driven movement, and large-scale encounters in open environments. Since you wouldn't actually control all of those Pokemon in the gang, they definitely have to make some improvements to how the Pokemon attack by themselves.
What the dog doing?
Exploration takes place across vast, untouched landscapes of ancient Galar, shaped entirely by nature. Survival and progression depend on how players use abilities to navigate terrain, interact with the environment, and protect early human settlements. That right there is something I'm really hoping they bring back, not just in the next Legends, but also Gen 10. We've already seen the Rotom scooter. I'm not really sold on the Rotom scooter yet. It's cool that you can technically ride any Pokemon, but I would much rather see you actually being able to ride the Pokemon. Here we can see a potential early concept for a Pokeball, even though it said there's no Pokeballs or trainers in the game, but that definitely looks like a rock Pokeball, which is pretty cool. You paint it yourself. From a narrative perspective, one of the core objectives is the creation of the first Gigamax Pokeball. I don't think that's what they were called in the game though, right? I don't know if these actually have a name. I tried looking it up, and yeah, it's just a giant Pokeball, I guess. So the main story would revolve around the creation of that first Gigantamax Pokeball. You can see it in this concept art. There is a giant stone Pokeball there. Yeah, this last page about Ringo, the translation, talks again about the Pokemon AI and physics calculations. And I don't actually know what the graphics here could imply, if this is what Ringo's kind of like art style is going to go for. But if Gen 10 and Legends 3 actually look like this, bro, that's a huge step up from Scarlet and Violet and even Legends EA. At least in terms of the lighting. Like that skybox is really, really pretty, and the textures and lighting here in the landscape of ancient Galar looks pretty freaking nice. I definitely remember seeing a higher quality version of this image, but I can't really find it, so we just gotta deal with the crunchiness. But you can still pretty much make out everything going on here, and this is really, really cool. We have a Chef Galarian Slowking and a ton of other Galarian Pokemon around some kind of witch's cauldron. You can even see a witch sort of character, at least with the hat. I'm not gonna lie, there's something weird about seeing Reboot with his like a hoodie that clearly is like a modern fit in this day and age, like 1,000 years in the past. But what is definitely fitting is the cauldron, being a reference to the curry cooking from Sword and Shield. That would be really sick if it makes it into the final game, and especially with the giant raid battles that seem to be a big part of it, you'd need a giant curry to either power up your gang of Pokemon or maybe to calm down the giant. I imagine it like the Balms from Legends Arceus. Instead of Balms, now you have this big curry pot that the Gigantamax has to eat in order to calm down and maybe get small again. This concept is awesome though. I think I'm just a sucker for Pokemon games set in the past. I really hope they stick with it. At the time of the leak, Project Ringo was still in prototype phase, continuing as an L3 candidate rather than a fully greenlit project. Legends Galar is believed to be targeting a release window of 2027 or later, following Wind and Wave and its DLC. Of course, Legends EA ended up getting delayed. You can see that here, originally planned for late 2024, with the DLC shortly after on December. That's when it actually ended up coming out. So we'd have Gen 10 in 2026, then maybe 1 or 2 DLCs in 2027, and we wouldn't see the next Legends game until 2028, which is totally fine with me. Game Freak needs as much time as possible for these games to actually come out, you know, properly cooked. So honestly, I'd be fine with 2028 or even later, as it says here. because there are some other projects supposedly planned for 2028. There is, of course, Pokemon Champions already announced. The release date for that has to be confirmed at Pokemon Day as well, right? That Pokemon Champions first got announced Pokemon Day last year, so it's crazy to me that it hasn't come out, and I think it was originally supposed to release already. There is also supposedly this multi-region remake or Project Seed. It's even in the timeline. I did not realize there was actually documents for this one too. Internally described as an attempt to build a Pokemon version of Japan with a single massive map designed to be traversed seamlessly on foot. So this would essentially take Pokemon's open world ideas to the next level, all of Japan. So Kanto, Johto, Hoenn, Sinnoh, and everything in between them fully explorable. That would be really cool, but also kind of maybe a little too ambitious for Game Freak. I don't know if I trust them to deliver on that. But like, yeah, in concept, it sounds amazing, and you can see it here, the different cities and nature that would connect the regions. So there would be 5 regions in one Pokemon game. That is crazy considering we haven't had even 2 regions since Gen 2, Johto and Kanto. Rather than being a traditional remake, Project Seed is positioned as a prototype for a future online Pokemon platform, potentially the first step towards an MMO. Again, man, this just sounds a little too crazy for Pokemon. Like, I can't imagine them officially doing it, but PokeMMO does already exist. It doesn't interconnect the different regions, but it's pretty dang cool, Pokemon MMO. But will it actually end up happening? I guess we'll wait and see, because right now they have both Legends 3 and this apparent Project Seed slated for 2028, at least according to this. I think Synapse is Pokemon Champion, so that was supposed to come out 2025. Obviously that didn't happen, so everything's kind of delayed right now, and it's possible that only one of these 2 projects will actually survive or end up making it. Regardless, I don't think either of these projects are going to get announced anytime soon, but it is really interesting to see the potential there. So next I'm going to be working on my official predictions for Pokemon Day, because there's a lot of ideas floating out there, some that I haven't even discussed in these videos yet. But let me know what you guys want to see and what you think of Pokemon Legends 3 or potentially a Legends ZA DLC. Don't forget to hit that like button if you enjoyed, and I'll catch you in the next one.